This is I've Got Scars, baby.
Well, all of those chemicals and everything that I talk about is one of the major things that keep us bonded, that keeps us together, to pair bond us, right?
Mhm.
Because that's actually why it was really created, is to keep you now,
Mhm.
right? So certain chemicals come out, and then when you bond, then there's more chemicals that are also being released, right, to keep us bonded, to keep us close. And something that we didn't mention too, that didn't have anything to do with chemicals, but our social compatibility as well. That's once the chemistry does its thing,
Yeah.
right? Because it's
Yeah.
doing its thing on its own. Once
Yeah.
the chemistry does its thing, then it's time for you to work on the social compatibility part, right? You're a
Okay.
lawyer, I'm a lawyer, you're an actor, I'm an actor. Oh, wow, that's totally
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah.
You like sci-fi, I like sci-fi, like, oh yeah, yeah, we got some things in common, right?
Yeah.
Social compatibility, right?
Okay.
Versus the major histocompatibility, right? So the major histocompatibility keeps us together. So it starts letting out those different pheromones, neurotransmitters. Say too, when you're in bed, I
Mm-hmm.
always ask couples, do you ever, sometimes when your significant other gets out of the bed first, do you ever find yourself gravitating to his side or gravitating to her side? And they're like, yeah, I do. Well, that's because the DNA is on the sheet and on the pillow. So you end up gravitating. So you're still with your significant other. And that's to keep you bonded too as well. So all of those things are,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow. Okay,
yeah.
so if there's a ratio, like what's more important, the chemistry element versus the social construct type element? Is there one that's more important, or are both equally important?
Both equally important, because without the other, you have one-sided relationship, and then that's when it's time to get help, because one person desires both, right?
Yeah.
Hey, we're having sex, that's cool, we're touching, that's cool, but what about us going someplace and doing something? What about adding some novelty into our relationship, right? What
Mhm.
about, watching a movie with me? What about sitting down and getting some popcorn and having a conversation? What about, having a wonderful romantic dinner on the balcony, if we can't go out and
Yeah.
go, to a park or something for now, right? During the
Yeah.
pandemic. What about just, what about all those things you told me you love doing? The
Mhm.
social compatibility, right? Or opposite, we do all of that, but no affection. We don't
Yeah.
touch each other. We don't cuddle with each other.
Yeah.
We're laying on the couch watching TV, but we're so separate, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes when I'm counseling couples, that's the first thing I'm looking at, is when they sit down on the couch. Even on, I ask them, like for you guys to set up, close to a couch or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And the first thing I look at is to see how separate they are, right? And then when they're separate, to see the direction their legs are in. And they might be
Mhm.
facing this way, right? Away from each other, and so we know that the chemistry, that's something that we have to really work on. Yeah.
Wow. So you can work on the chemistry.
You can work on the chemistry. You could work on it once, because sometimes you might discover that it's not him or it's not her. What I mean by that is that it's not the sex that's keeping them from touching or hugging or wanting to cuddle with each other. That there might be a psychological reason
Mhm.
why it's
Yeah.
happening. It may be, it could be, bipolar or something, that we
Mhm.
could discover.
Mhm.
It might be depression, it might be stress,
Yeah.
right?
Gotcha. So it could be
From
life stuff.
it could be life stuff. And then
Yeah.
you discover that, then you can come back together again.